approaching 1,600 meters of altitude. And still, Royakas is coming back towards the wheel of Kopecky. Kopecky looking over her shoulder there, just seeing where Royakas is, but once again battling on, as we've seen all day here from Paulina Royakas, getting herself back up to the pink and red jerseys here of Longo Borghini and Kopecky.
Yeah, you can't keep her down. Paulina Royakas, as you said, this is a vintage Royakas ride. This is the Paulina Royakas that we've all been fans of throughout career, and comes straight back through to the front here. Minute and 3 seconds down on Niamh Bradbury. 2.1 kilometres to go. Amanda Spratt in 2018, that last victory for Australia in the Giro. And you've got to say, the new young talent from Australia, Chloe Hoskins, Tiff Cromwell, also previous winners of Giro stage wins over the last decade, you would say. 1.9 kilometres to go. Minute and 4 seconds is the gap. So Niamh is now really gaining in the GC here with this ride.
Yeah, she is. She'll put herself right up there onto the podium. Royakas, the rider on the front now, doing the work in this small group of 3 riders here. We've got over the minute gap there for Niamh Bradbury, but Royakas clearly has got the legs. She's keen to push on. She's got herself back up to the top 2 on GC, and she's not ready to give this up just yet. It's giving Longo Borghini a little bit of respite, a wheel to follow for the first time in a while. And there's still a lot of Kopecky stuck like glue to the wheel of Longo Borghini.
The virtual white jersey now on the road for Niamh Bradbury. What a mighty ride, you got to say, from the young Aussie, and that ride that she came into the finish with teammate Cassia Niewiadoma in the Tour de Suisse to take that first big World Tour victory, and the best young rider in that stage race leading into this. She has had a big season. She came to the summit of the climb at the UAE Tour, where Lotte Kopecky out-sprinted her at the summit, but today it's all about the Aussie. And we go back to 2022, where she finished 10th on the general classification. She came into the 2023 Giro as Canyon SRAM's protected rider, but she'd had a tough season after breaking her wrist early on in 2023, if I remember rightly. I think it was the wrist that she broke, but has come into 2024 having done a huge amount of work over the winter and through the back end of last season. And the confidence of our leader at minute and 5 with 1.3 kilometres to go has just been growing and growing. The battle for the general classification, just not able to, Elisa Longo Borghini not able to distance Lotte Kopecky at all. And this 3 seconds here, the sprint to the line, is where it's all going to come down to in terms of bonus seconds.
It certainly is. And what's interesting here is the fact that Royakas has got back to this group and got herself on the front. I would say this is playing into the hands of Longo Borghini, giving her that little bit of a break, because she has been setting the pace for ever so long and just so closely marked there by Lotte Kopecky. But they do have company in Royakas, who is the one who is keen to put in the work here. So I think Longo Borghini will be quite happy with this situation. Still, Kopecky is looking poised and ready. We're back into the more exposed sections of this climb, because you've got a little bit of wind at the top here with these flags. Of course, the temperatures will be cooler up at this sort of altitude, as we're now approaching 1K to go.
Flamme Rouge, what a moment. And also, Joe, is Niamh Bradbury here on Blockhaus on arguably the biggest day that we have seen on our screens, especially over the last, 10, 15 years perhaps, in the Giro. This is a historic ride up here to the top of Blockhaus.
Yeah, certainly for the riders of this generation, this is one of the biggest days in the Women's World Tour peloton in terms of the climbing meters gain, in terms of how tough this summit finish is here. And inside that final kilometre now, looking very set to take the victory. Still, Royakas is battling on. Still, Longo Borghini is happily sat on the wheel there of Royakas, and still Kopecky is poised in third wheel.
We did, and we had some big rides in the Giro in the past before we ever got to see it on our TV screens. First time we finished up here on Blockhaus Neve Bradbury, 700 metres, 600 metres now to go to the top. Our chasing group, Royackers, Longo Borghini and Kopecky also battling it out here for the general classification. Bradbury, just that little buffer in the general classification, started the day in 11th, 2 minutes and 2 seconds down on Elisa Longo Borghini. She is riding her way into the white jersey at the head of the race, but don't forget, bonus seconds on offer. It could come down to the sprint to the line here.
Certainly could, so very worth thinking about those bonus seconds. We know that both Longo Borghini and Kopecky have a good punch. The question is who's got that sprint after this many kilometres of climbing. Very different to the finish of any other bike race when you've had such a brutal day out in the heat as well, which has also played a huge part in today's race.
And here we go. What a moment at the top of Blockhaus. Second career victory for the 22-year-old Australian, just keeping that rhythm here, keeping that tempo up towards the summit, riding her way up the general classification in this Giro. This has been a mighty performance today from the young Australian, and you've got to say this is a career-defining moment. This is what we have seen throughout this Giro, and you can see just keeping everything. She's throwing everything into this ride up towards the line, looking to try and gain every second in the general classification. She can hear that announcer ahead of her. The steep slopes up to the top of Blockhaus. She's going to write her own name into the history books here with this ride. Neve Bradbury, 22 years old, from Australia, from Canyon SRAM Racing, the riders of the new generation here in the Giro D'Italia women. This is a huge ride today, and what can she do in the general classification with 1 day to go? Neve Bradbury, just a few meters now, and she can call herself a Giro D'Italia stage winner. Bradbury takes the stage at the top of Blockhaus. What an absolutely huge performance from the Aussie today. And now we look at the sprint for second place. Kopecky has soaked up all of the attacks of Elisa Longo Borghini. The Maglia Rosa into the slipstream of Kopecky. Elisa Longo Borghini now looks to try and come over the top. Kopecky and Longo Borghini battling for second and third here on the stage. Kopecky sprinting it out. Longo Borghini trying to find something else as those bonus seconds on offer at the top. It looks like the world champion is going to take the seconds on the stage, takes 6. Longo Borghini takes the 4 in the background. Paulina Royackers, what a ride from Royackers, you can say, on Blockhaus today. But we can say the Blockhaus stage has lived up to its billing.
It certainly has, and that was a long, old, tough sprint to the line there. We saw how long it took Neve